Hello everyone. I'm here for Real Housewives of Atlanta season 8 episode 5. I hope you can hear me. My daughter's asleep, so I don't want to be too loud. But yeah, this episode was basically a continuation from last week, the fight with Cynthia and Portia, and basically Portia stood up in Cynthia's face and Cynthia kicked her. And then when Portia tried to go back and hit Cynthia, security tackled Portia into another chair, and then they got Cynthia up to, calm her down. So Kenya took Cynthia down to a room and said, Portia and her friend came on the boat. It was negative vibes the whole time. She's a rabid dog. She's an animal. And Kim was sad about the whole situation. Candy and Sheree were trying to figure out what was going on. And then they were at this whole time, they were like, well, where's Tammy? That whole time when Cynthia and Kenya went downstairs, Tammy was downstairs and she looked like she was crying. So, Sheree and Candy were just like, yeah, we don't really know what happened. I just know that they just started fighting. We didn't even think it would go that far. This is crazy. So, after the whole situation happened, all of the ladies meet up in different times. Shamia and Portia were together, and Portia's mom came and bought them food. Portia said that she didn't think that it was that big of a deal. She was like, she was there to support Cynthia the whole day. She didn't think that it was a problem that she said the bitch word, but clearly it was. And she said she feels like a lot of that negative anger and energy that Cynthia had on the boat was really geared towards Peter. And I agree. Cynthia blew that out of proportion. Cynthia got upset because, she's going through what she's going through with Peter. Because none of us had, even the fans watching, we've never seen Cynthia that mad. And we know that when Cynthia's this mad or whatever, when she feels how she feels, it's because she's angry at somebody else. Like last season, her and Kenya became friends because of the whole thing with, because of the thing that happened with Nene. And the only reason why Kenya and Cynthia became friends is because of because everybody felt like Cynthia was Nene's puppet or whatever. So place anger that Cynthia needs to take it out on the person who pissed her off the most. So Portia was like, you know what, it's too soon for us to meet right now, but I just do want to meet up with her and let her know that I didn't mean any negative ill will or malicious intent or whatever in what I was saying. I was there to support the whole time. I wasn't there to fight. So Kenya is talking about the conversation with her Aunt Lori and her cousin Shay. And of course, they all say, that Portia said, yeah, whatever, bitch. I don't remember Portia saying whatever, bitch. I remember Portia saying the bitch word in a casual tone. And she was like, oh, yeah, bitch, like that. I don't remember her saying whatever, bitch. I don't remember her being nasty. Portia was not being nasty. And anyway, when women call women bitches, it's casual. It's not nothing mean. It's not nothing, that's to be nasty. It's casual. So Candy is with Don Juan and Carmen, and she's telling them the story. And I think she also said whatever, bitch. And then she said next thing she know, they started fighting. So Don Juan is like, well, why are you even entertaining these chicks and you are umpteen months pregnant? Why are you on the boat with these crazy chicks and da-da-da-da? And I'm like, Don Juan, calm down. Don Juan is so extra and he makes situations so much more worse than they are. Calm down. Jeez. You're doing too much. Just relax. So, Phaedra and Kim met up and they were talking about the situation too. And Phaedra was like how she saw the bruises and all of that on Portia's arms and stomach and all of that. So Kim was like, they treating this like this is the JFK assassination. None of that, shouldn't have even happened. And I'm like, Portia might have got the bruise on her stomach. Well, she did. Got the bruise on her stomach from Cynthia. But the bruises on her arms and everything, that was from security. Because right after Cynthia kicked her, security tackled the hell out of Portia. And Portia was trying to, get free and wiggle out, but he wouldn't let her. So I know that them bruises had to come from security too. So now, Kenya wants to make everything right, and she wants to figure out, Aunt Lori is basically telling her, invite everybody again out to lunch or something and just discuss the issue. Y'all don't need to be going through all of this, the fighting and whatnot. So, Kenya met up with Portia, and they were talking, and Portia said that she feels like Kenya doesn't have any compassion for her. She feels like Kenya always points the finger at her, and Kenya was like, well, you never take responsibility for your actions. And I'm like, Kenya, you never take responsibility for your actions either, because there's been plenty of times where you've done stuff and you said something and you've backpedaled, and half the time the stuff that you say, it don't have anything to do with you. Prime example, when she started all that stuff at the couples party a couple of seasons ago, talking about Natalie and Christopher Williams and their marriage or whatever. Like, you don't know, you don't know the state of their marriage. You don't know how they're living. So what if they're common law? So what? Let them live their lives how they live their lives. It's not your place to talk about somebody's marriage, especially if you're not married yourself. So mind your business. And a lot of times, that's Kenya's problem. Kenya doesn't know how to mind her business. So she makes situations worse, and she instigates situations. I think she knowingly does it. Like Kenya instigates a lot of stuff and then likes to play victim later on when somebody calls her out on it. So luckily her and Portia squashed it. Like, it wasn't no real big beef. They ended it and they said that they were gonna move forward, and that was that. What else happened? Well, it was like a little bit like sidebars. Like, Candy went to go visit Dr. Jackie to check on the baby, and for a minute they panicked because they weren't hearing a heartbeat. And then during this time where they were trying to listen for the heartbeat, Todd is going to get up and take a call. Now, I'm hoping that was like, he just panicked or whatever, but you can't do that. If it's something serious like that, you will much rather be in that room to hear what's going on, as opposed to not knowing what's going on and then, not listening. So luckily, it was just a false alarm. The baby, she heard the baby's heartbeat when she went to the side of her stomach. But, I mean, half the time when babies, like, when women are pregnant, babies don't want to be bothered in the belly. Like, sometimes them babies be sleeping, they be knocked out in your belly, and then they feel a doctor, like, poking. They don't want to be bothered. Like, my kids, both of them, every time it was time to do checkups and sonograms and all that, they will always be with they butt facing, like they butt against my stomach. Basically, like, I don't want to be bothered. And that's how some babies are. You have to, like, the technicians got to move around your belly every which way just to get a good view of the baby, because the baby don't want to be bothered. The baby is in a comfortable, amniotic sac chilling. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be seen. So, the baby's fine. They're just telling Candy to take it easy. Phaedra was with her kids, and she was discussing what life is like being a single mom. And she's like, it's hard, but, I want my kids to be okay. I don't want them to be scarred. I don't want them to be hurt. I want them to be okay. I want them to know that mommy's got them. So, I mean, it was a cute little moment where, she was making them little slushies, and she almost messed up the machine. Aiden kind of gave her a look. I'm like, her kids are so adorable. Aiden looks so much like his dad, and Dylan looks so much like her. It's crazy. So, what else happened? I mean, it wasn't really much. It was just, the whole episode was just talk about the fight. And Kenya, came up with the idea to have the little luncheon. So, the first two to arrive were Candy and Kim. And Kim was like, well, shouldn't everybody be here by now? And, Kim was like, listen, I could be at home with my kids knitting, crocheting, and watching stories instead of waiting for these chicks. They could never be on time. And I'm like, I hear that. Like, Kim was not with it. So then Phaedra came, and Phaedra was like, well, I hope everybody's on their way. Cynthia came, Sheree came, and then Portia and Kenya arrived together. So they were about to discuss, the situation. And Portia was like, to Cynthia, she was like, do you want to go and have a conversation real quick? So they went and they had their own private conversation, and then the ladies were talking amongst themselves while they were having their conversation. So Cynthia was like, she was like, well, first off, how are you feeling? Do you feel better? She said, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just sore. She said, physically, you know, it hurt, but mentally and emotionally, I was hurt too, because I didn't want it to get that far. I was just there to support you. I wasn't there to be negative. I wasn't there to be mean. I just didn't think that what I said was a big deal, and I'm sorry. So they apologized to each other, and Cynthia said that she didn't want to go it that far either. And while they were talking, Kenya was like, well, I had a conversation with Portia, and I basically told her, like, you know, you don't take responsibility for what you do. So Candy was like, well, you know what, Kenya? You're good at pointing out what other people do, but you're not so good at pointing out what you do. And when Candy said that, I was like, yes, tell her. So Kenya was like, well, I hope, she was like, well, you're a great advocate for Portia, and I hope you can be an advocate for me, because you've never been. And she's like, no. She was like, I'm not saying that I'm not going to be an advocate for you. It's just the fact that every time somebody does something, you're so quick to point out what they do, but you don't point out what you do. And I'm like, yes, Candy, tell her. Because I don't know if Kenya is just delusional. Well, she is delusional, but Kenya does start a lot of stuff, and then she likes to sit up there and make it seem like she doesn't do anything, like people just don't like you for no reason. And that's not the case. You instigate a lot of stuff for no reason. You throw shade all the time, and then you hate when people do it to you. Like, that's not fair. So, you know, that was basically the episode. Next episode look like it's gonna be bananas. Like, they're going to Miami, and then something happens where Sheree asks Tammy if she slept with Bob, and something else happens with, I guess, one of the guys they were in Miami with. Like, I don't know, but I mean, this episode was okay. It was kind of boring. It was just about the fight, but you know, they seem to have squashed it. They ended on a good note, and that was it. So like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and I see you guys next video. Thank you for watching.